Very good evening. You're watching 5 Live. I'm Nabila Jamal. Our top focus right at the top of this hour is the Cyclone Biparjoy. It's had its landfall, but the effects have been far devastating. In fact, we're looking at a trail of destruction, images as it comes of heavy rains, flooding, and a lot more. Uprooted trees and, of course, electric poles that have fallen off, blocking access to many of those low-lying areas. I'm going to take you through all those images that are telling. The headlines first. Showdown over scrapping on anti-conversion law in Karnataka escalates as the Bajrang Dal and the VHP now protest against the Sidhu Sarkar, calling Siddaramaiah as Siddaramullah Khan. The slogans that have been raised against the Chief Minister. Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee admits to retaliating in violence in Bangar, says ISF, the newly formed opposition, instigated the TMC and therefore they've retaliated. Mamata Banerjee has also accused the centre of using any excuse of deploying central forces in the state. Union Minister's house has been vandalised in Impal. A mob storms into the Union Minister's home and lights it, in fact torches the house. Thankfully, he wasn't at the house at that moment. Political war over renaming Nehru Museum after Nehru Museum name changed by the Prime Minister, the Modi Sarkar. Nehru Museum is now called Prime Minister's Museum. Congress launches this pettiness and vengeance attack at the centre. India Today reports from areas that are worst hit by the Cyclone Biparjoy. Our reporters are on ground also to help in rescue operations. That's Ashutosh Mishra, one of our reporters who've been constantly living up to the duties of also guiding many of those strandeds because he's been there, knows the lay of the land, showing people the way to safety while he reports for us live.
आज मदद के लिए आखिरकार हमने लेकर के आए हैं, कम से कम एक को जो परिवार है जिनको निकाला जा सके उन्हें मदद मिल सके। तो अगर एक बार इनको सुरक्षित इलाकों में निकाल लिया गया तो आप समझिए कि कितनी जिंदगियों को बचाया जा सकता है। एक परिवार मुश्किल से कम
All right, the situation on ground is really far from okay. We see the Cyclone Biparjoy has had its landfall late last evening, went on till the wee hours of the morning. And even as we speak at this point, heavy rains lashing that region that's worse affected. Gujarat, the Saurashtra Kutch region, we're seeing access that's been completely blocked off. I'm going to take you through those defining images that really shows you the gravity of the Cyclone Biparjoy. Cyclone Biparjoy, which had pressed into Saurashtra Kutch region. It had its landfall, left really a trail of destruction in its wake. The damage done includes 5,120 electric poles that have been uprooted, which has really rendered at least 4,600 villages without power. Cyclone Biparjoy continues to wreak havoc across Gujarat. These images are from parts of Jakau port, the area that's left inundated after heavy rainfall lashed coastal areas of Gujarat in the aftermath. And NDRF has now been working with full force to minimize loss of life and property amid the severe cyclonic storm's landfall. NDRF teams removing blockages, trees from the roads that have all been uprooted, fallen off, blocking off access itself to many areas. In fact, their duty now, the NDRF is right now swung into action to clear out all kinds of road blockages. That operation continues as cyclone's landfall has hit Gujarat and the strength of it has weakened, moved towards Rajasthan, but really the effects of it is now unraveling. Meanwhile, the NDRF rescue operations continue after people have returned to some villages adjacent to Dwarka. About 80 to 90 people have been evacuated from the areas that were stuck right after rains hit. In fact, right now, the real issue and the challenge is to maneuver through the flooded areas. They're trying to cope with really the aftermath now, which is the real struggle. Manvi in Gujarat is also one of the most affected regions and has really been battered by the cyclone. And these images here, Manvi beach has been destroyed by the cyclone Biparjoy, leaving shops and some of the trees uprooted, and many of the kacha establishments, the shops with tents, etc., all flown with the wind.
सैलाब लाया है, ये इतना खतरनाक है कि ये तबाही
That cyclone Biparjoy there, we saw images showing you the kind of devastation. In fact, now is when really the actual trouble begins. The challenge would be certainly for cyclone Biparjoy and its effects, as we see a lot of it has to now being dealt with in terms of the damage, as I show you here through this representation. Of course, a graphical representation to suggest the kind of damage that this has left behind in its wake. We're seeing at least 4,600 villages Cyclone Biparjoy has damaged. When it comes to electricity, they're all now left without power. It's been at least 24 hours. They're in darkness. 23 people have been grievously injured. I'm going to tell you that at least 2 people have died in the cyclone Biparjoy, leaving at least 23 of them others who are injured grievously owing to the floods and winds. Over 25 animals that have been reported dead. We're also seeing Cyclone Biparjoy's damage here that's resulted in at least 3 highways that have been fully shut due to this cyclone, which really leaves accessibility now making that a big struggle for those stranded in areas that are flooded. It's like waist-high waters the people are trying to maneuver through, and we've been seeing that with our reporters on ground showing us images of that. No power. I tell you, out of the 4,200 villages that have been affected, like really damaged with water flooding into most of those houses, we're seeing at least 1,000 areas which has been identified, 1,000 localities that have been snapped out of power. So electricity has been fully cut off because electricity poles have been uprooted. As we see, 5,120 electric poles have been uprooted. That's resulted in, of course, electricity going off. And as the number of trees that have been counted ever since this cyclone came approaching towards Gujarat, the number is now gone to 581. You can imagine almost every road in these areas of Dwarka, Mandvi and Jakau port are all now inaccessible with water waist high and people barely able to move out to actual safer zones because of this kind of trees and electric poles that have all blocked roads. Now, of course, at this point, when we see Cyclone Biparjoy weakening in strength, thankfully, it hasn't really left the kind of damage that one would have expected. There was a lot of talk that Cyclone Biparjoy, the meaning of the cyclone itself is disaster. As we know that that the expectation was a lot more damage, but thankfully, officials on ground have ensured that the impact is bare minimum. But yet, unfortunately, we lost 2 lives. And of course, the number of villages I told you, at least 4,000 odd that have been now fully blocked off with trees on the road, all the establishments, the kacha houses and shops that have been fully blown away. A lot of that has bothered the people on ground. Our reporters who've been covering the length and breadth of those affected areas join us. I'm going to quickly cut across to Gopi Manyar, who's been in Mandvi, one of the most affected areas. Gopi, please कहिए कि ये हालात वहाँ पर अब कैसे है? साइक्लोन बिपरजॉय का अब जो ताकत है वो वीक हो गया है, मगर अभी चैलेंज यही है कि रेस्क्यू रिलीफ ऑपरेशंस कैसे अभी निकाला जाए, क्योंकि वहाँ पर रोड्स ब्लॉक है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं है, लोगों की दुकान सब मतलब पूरा वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो चुका है.
बिल्कुल, देखिए मैं आपको बताऊं कि जिस तरीके से इस बार सरकार ने तैयारियां की थी, तो कम से कम जो 8 सबसे प्रभावित जिले हैं, जिसमें कच्छ, जामनगर, द्वारिका, राजकोट, मोरबी जैसे जो जिले हैं जहां पे सबसे ज़्यादा चक्रवात ने तबाही मचाई है, वहां पर अब तक एक भी इंसान की मौत नहीं दर्ज की गई है. यानी कहीं ना कहीं जो चक्रवात का सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट था वहां पे एक भी मौत नहीं है, क्योंकि 90,000 से ज़्यादा लोगों को पहले ही इवैक्यूएट कर दिया गया है. अब रिस्टोरेशन का काम है। देखिए, मैं आपको बता दूं कि जो सड़कें हैं यहाँ से मांडवी से लेकर, जब चक्रवात का असर यहाँ पे दिख रहा था, जब चक्रवात तूफान यहाँ पे तबाही मचा रहा था, उसके तुरंत बाद ही पूरी सड़कों को साफ करना शुरू कर दिया। जो हाईवेज बंद थे मांडवी से लेकर, जो भुज का हाईवे है, मांडवी भुज, मांडवी मुंद्रा का जो हाईवे है, जो मेन कनेक्टिविटी हाईवे कहा जाता है, उसे एक बार फिर से घंटों में ही शुरू कर दिया गया है। लगातार यहाँ पे जो जेसीबी है वो यहाँ पे काम कर रही है। जितनी भी सड़कें बंद होती है वहाँ पे तुरंत ही रिस्टोरेशन का जो काम है वो शुरू कर दिया जाता है। तो सड़कों को खुला रखा गया है ताकि कनेक्टिविटी कहीं पर भी बंद ना हो जाए। इसके अलावा अगर बात की जाए तो जो यहाँ से सबसे ज़्यादा जहाँ पे साइक्लोन टकराया था, जखाऊ के इलाके की अगर मैं बात करूं तो जखाऊ के इलाके में भी रिस्टोरेशन का जो काम है वो शुरू कर दिया गया है। इलेक्ट्रिक पोल जो है वहाँ पे बिजली जल्द से जल्द इस तरीके से
जी, वहाँ पर मानवी में वो हालात है। मगर हम देखेंगे कि द्वारका एरिया में जहाँ पर जो लैंडफॉल हुआ, आई एम गोइंग टू कट अक्रॉस टू आशुतोष। In fact, he has been really doubling up as a rescue official as well. Ashutosh, I know you may not have a certification of being an NDRF team member, but clearly what you've done today, kudos for your efforts and that commitment that you've put in, not just to deliver live reports for us, our viewers here on India Today, but also to ensure that those people who came in your way looking to find a place of safety, we saw you really directing them towards those areas along with the NDRF professionals. We hope you're really recognized for the work you've done today.
Well, Nabila, thank you. That's a minimum duty one, expected from a journalist while covering things that there are people around seeking your help. That's a minimum help you can offer. But yes, as far as the situation on the ground is concerned, remember the torrential rainfall continues. The wind speed has drastically reduced. The impact has now gone minimum. But what I see is also the effort, and these people also need to be recognized, that have assured me that in next couple of hours, they will be restoring the electricity in the city of Mandvi. So these workers from the power department, the electricity department, many have traveled even 700 kilometers, and there you see all those the electricity poles which was literally fell down with the wind speed. This is all they have done just in 3 hours, and for next 2 hours they're gonna ensure the electricity supplies at least goes to the critical areas like hospitals, other essential support, and also including the main town areas. So that's a bigger challenge because as far as tree uprooters are concerned, those can be removed by JCB machine and other machinery. But the restoring electricity, and that too in this wind, because the one support and the one relief is that the wind speed is not as high as it has been since afternoon. And all now I see is only the dark, because people, of course, you cannot keep people really in dark. Many of the people who were facing hardship because of there is no electricity, they weren't able to charge their mobile phones, and that's exactly why they sought help from us to either make a call or get someone to help. And here I see really these people braving the weather, adverse weather, heavily downpour, and now they're ensuring that in next 2 hours at least the electricity can be restored in the urban areas of Mandvi. So these people literally braving the weather and ensuring huge manpower have been forced at this corner. The transformer, look at it, the way it has collapsed totally. Now they said that, they assured me that in next 2 hours they will fix it. All cables have been fixed up, and now it is the transformer. So the moment it is fixed up, they will ensure the electricity gets smoother. People get at least 2 or 3 hours of electricity to charge their mobile phones. Many would really want to connect to their families, their loved ones, their relatives.
Absolutely.
So we're hopeful the things are literally coming back now here in Mandvi.
We're really hoping so, and I hope that people are watching India Today's updates as well. Ashutosh, really knowing the lay of the land there, extensively being able to help those people on ground. In fact, I had a word with Ashutosh myself just last evening. He himself is staying at a temple. One can only imagine accessibility is completely cut off. At this point, it's becoming difficult for people to maneuver on those flooded streets with electricity poles down, hanging on the streets. In fact, with heavy rains, the gusty winds and the high tides that we see here, our India Today reporters really braving it all amidst all those weather conditions, adverse weather conditions. They're standing put, bringing us these factual, accurate ground reports. Let's have a look.
Cyclone Biparjoy leaves a trail of destruction. Gujarat's Mandvi is the worst hit. Roads are waterlogged, houses submerged. Hundreds have been left stranded. Over 4,600 villages across Gujarat are badly affected. Over 100 trains are cancelled. 3 highways are closed. And power to many areas is cut. As the cyclone made a landfall and moved further inland, India Today's team of reporters fanned across the coastal areas for a reality check. Gopi Manyar in Mandvi.
तबाही का जो मंजर है वो लगातार यहाँ पर दिखाई दे रहा है.
Saurav Aktania in Jamnagar.
Still continue to rain very heavily and the wind speed is also very high.
And Brijesh Doshi in Dwarka.
So some good news for the people of Dwarka and Kutch that there is no human death.
Bringing fast and factual reports. In Mandvi, incessant rains with gusty winds created havoc.
चक्रवात का लैंडफॉल तो हो चुका है, उसे हुए भी 6 घंटे से ज्यादा का वक्त बीत चुका है. बावजूद उसके यहाँ पर तेज तूफानी हवाएं चल रही है. आप देख सकते हैं कई सारे जो पेड़ है वो इस तरीके से उखड़ गए. अपनी जड़ों से ये पेड़ जो है वो उखड़ गए. कई जगह पर पेड़ उखड़ गए हैं. अब तक करीब 22 से ज्यादा लोगों के घायल होने की जो खबर है वो भी सामने आई है. लेकिन उसी बीच तबाही का जो मंजर है वो लगातार यहाँ पर दिखाई दे रहा है.
Several trees are uprooted in Jamnagar. Properties damaged. Earth-moving machines are being used to clear uprooted trees as rains lash the area.
We are right now present in Jamnagar and it still continues to rain very heavily and the wind speed is also very high. In the visuals you can clearly see that how the speed of the wind is very high. Look at the visuals around here. The trees and the electric poles are continuously swinging. This is the river on the left side. That's the river of Jamnagar. Yesterday it was not filled with water, but right now look at the situation. It is now started to fill with water because it is raining continuously since yesterday late night.
A similar trail of devastation is witnessed in Dwarka as well.
I'm right now in Dwarka where there is no casualties. So some good news for the people of Dwarka and Kutch that there is no human death has been reported yet. The only thing is that there have been trees which are fallen and electric poles which are badly damaged due to the speed of the cyclone. So this is the effect that is here on Dwarka and Kutch as well.
Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi monitored the post-landfall rescue efforts in the state.
जिस प्रकार से एनडीआरएफ, गुजरात पुलिस, एसडीआरएफ, नेवी, आर्मी सभी ने एक टीम के तौर पे पूरे क्षेत्र में जो कामगिरी की है उसके कारण कहीं ना कहीं आज गुजरात में अभी तक 0 कैजुअलिटीज के आंकड़े सामने आए हैं.
Gujarat, Maharashtra and Rajasthan remain on high alert even as the cyclone weakens, triggering heavy rains that could spell just more trouble. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, and now I'm going to cut across to Brijesh, who's currently in, of course, Dwarka. That is the worst affected area. Brijesh, we know that from Dwarka itself, thousands of people have been evacuated from the low-lying areas. Give us a real extent of damage and the situation right now on ground. People venturing into those areas of Gujarat. Is it safe? What's the direction has the government given to those people who are still stranded? Has help reached their way?
Definitely, Nabila, the way people have been evacuated, it was a big relief for the administrative part in Dwarka. Right now, I'm in Dwarka. Again, I want
I have a problem with Brijesh's audio. Brijesh, a little problem with your audio. That's the real issue there we've been facing with our reporters because electricity has cut off. Most of the villages there, villages in fact have no electricity. That's really making things hard for rescue and relief efforts as well. But thankfully, even before the cyclone hit, we know that the NDRF, SDRF teams had done enough to ensure the damage is minimum. So people have been moved out of those areas, but those who remain are really struggling struggling at this point to of course, find some kind of connectivity. Our reporters there are still managing their way to bring us these reports, so people are alert and aware. I'm going to give you a quick glimpse here into how the cyclone has moved, the kind of the progress the cyclone has had right from early last evening to wee hours of the morning. In fact, this comes at 1 a.m. We're seeing the cyclone, the eye of the storm, that moved all the way from 1 a.m. It's now showing how it moved right from Gujarat's Kutch region. And of course, the areas that it had touched upon were Dwarka, Jamnagar, Junagadh. And as it approaches the afternoon, we're seeing it pass through Udaipur. This is the eye of the storm that shows how the storm is now passing through Udaipur, and then it's going to head towards, at this point, move towards Kota in Rajasthan, and then slowly make its way towards areas of Uttar Pradesh. Even as I speak, in fact, Delhi has had rains. The national capital, Delhi, right now, where I'm at, has been raining for the last hour or so. Nice showers. It's back and sunny again, but that's the reason is, of course, the effects of this very cyclone that's now weakened in strength, moving away after it's made its landfall in Gujarat. So the effects of it now is minimum, but what happened in Gujarat is certainly something that we're trying to accumulate with through images and show you the impact of it. I'm going to quickly cut across now to Brijesh. If Brijesh is with us, Brijesh, tell us a little more on Dwarka's situation at this point. We know that Dwarka is the worst hit. Electricity not available. It's been snapped across many villages as the poles have been uprooted. Trees now blocking accessibility. Give us a scenario where you're at.
See, right now I'm at the Dwarka beach. From last 3 days I'm reporting about the cyclone's possible effect, and now there is some good news for Dwarka, that there is no much more damage or the casualty in the Dwarka, but there were trees were fallen and the electric poles were uprooted, so the power supply has not been restored yet. It will take more than 24 hours in Dwarka. This is the Dwarkadish temple. People have always faith when it's about the Saurashtra people. They always they have the faith on the God that whenever this kind of situation occurs, or the cyclone is coming towards the Gujarat, because of this Dwarka temple or the Somnath temple, due to which it never affected badly, or the worst effect is always been away from the Gujarat coast. So this is the faith of the people, and that's why when I talked with MOS Home, Harsh Sanghvi, he also said that due to the Somnath temple, the Somnath Mahadev's blessings, or the Dwarkadish blessing, and the proactive work done by the union and state government, the casualty was there was no report of the casualty or the human death. So that's why the administrative part is successful, and from a short while now, the man, Home Minister of State Sanghvi, will go to the Dwarka temple and get the blessing of the Lord Dwarkadish. So this kind of situation right now, the wind is still there, the current is still in the sea, but people of Dwarka are happy that there is no more damage, or there is not much damage in Dwarka itself, though damage is there in Kutch, but not much in Dwarka.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Brijesh, for joining us on that. Of course, our reporters, like I said, have been really struggling to bring us these reports. I'm going to quickly cut across now to Ashutosh. In fact, Ashutosh has been, like I said, helping in rescue and relief operations as well. Here's a quick report of Ashutosh as he helps some of the kids there to actually manage their way through safety. Waist-deep waters, barely any help, no accessibility because phones are not connecting. There's network is barely available. Electricity is completely out. So the actual real challenge begins now. Here's a look.
This morning, 4 or to 5 a.m. onwards, the flood-like situation started. आइए सर, आइए, आगे आइए. ये जो स्कूटर है ना, ये स्कूटर वाला घर है, डोर बंद का, वहीं पर उसमें बच्चे भी हैं. बोले को हाँ वो कह रहे थे हमें बाहर जाना, तो एक महिला थी वो हमारे साथ आ गई हैं, बाकी सारे लोग अभी भी अंदर हैं. एक बार पूछ लीजिए, आप मिल लीजिए उनसे, पहले देख लीजिए कितने लोग हैं, असेसमेंट कर लेंगे तो ज़्यादा आसान होगा. So one of the NDA, because we have been also requesting the administration wherever the evacuation required, and the information, the news reports probably will help out the people in the affected area. There you see, this is exactly depth of the water. And ask Sanjay to gradually move further. take every steps very carefully. You never know if there are manholes nearby. Since we already followed this trajectory, this path, just an hour ago, यहाँ एक बच्चा है तो ये लोग कह रहे हैं ये ऊपर चले जाएंगे, इनसे पुलिस जाने, बस उस वाले घर में ज़्यादा लोग हैं। बाहर जाना क्या आप लोगों को? ये लोग मदद के लिए आए हैं, बाहर निकालने के लिए ये आए हैं। जाना है तो ये लोग निकाल देंगे बाहर। बच्चा है छोटा, उस वाले घर में उनमें 2-3 बच्चे हैं, तो वो कह रहे थे हमें बाहर सुरक्षित जाना है किसी इलाके में, तो उनमें से एक को हमने निकाला था, बाकी सारे छोटे बच्चे ज़्यादा हैं। So this would require, do you see the depth of the water? This explains the fury of this cyclone, the mayhem it has literally. Though, you know, there is a good news that, Polemy, we can really be thankful to the nature. There is not massive loss to the lives. So somehow it is only causing damage to the public property, which will be restored, of course, it would take a couple of months, maybe maximum, to restore. ये वाला घर है, इस वाले घर में कुछ लोग हैं, बुजुर्ग लोग हैं, इनको बाहर जाना था. So we just got in India a personals along with us. They will communicate. This is what is required. आप बात कर लीजिए जिनको जाना था. This is also need of the hour. ये ले आया मदद के लिए इन्हीं लोग को. बोट लेकर के आ रहे हैं, आपकी मदद के लिए आए हैं. आप परेशान मत हो, निकल जाएंगे. मैं इनके साथ हूँ, आप ले आइए. You know, finally the help has reached here. They wants to evacuate from this place. There is elderly senior citizen in the home, elderly women, children, and we have been appealing to the authorities by sending out the messages to get help as much as possible, and somehow these NDRF officials will ensure. ठीक है, मैं यहीं रुकता हूँ, आप लेकर के आ जाइए. ठीक है, आराम से. हाँ, कोई बात नहीं. बोट अब तो है ना, मैं यहीं पर हूँ, मैं चलता हूँ, धीरे धीरे आऊँगा बाहर. बाहर मत आना, आप लोग के लिए मदद आ रही है यहीं पे. बोट लेकर के आ रहे हैं, निकालेंगे. जो ले जाना है सामान पैक कर लीजिए, काम भर का सामान रख लीजिए. ठीक है, जितना सामान चाहिए उतना ही रखिएगा. आ रहे लेकर के. So this is indeed a need of the hour to ensure the rescue operation, relief operation must go on, and we're trying our reports also to be helpful for the authorities to ensure they reach this on time, particularly those who are really in dire need, the senior citizen, children, small kids in this area. और मांडवी के जिस इलाके से आज तक ने आपको रिपोर्ट दिखाई थी, जहाँ कई सारे परिवारों को मदद की ज़रूरत थी, और अब उसके बाद हमारे साथ एनडीआरएफ की टीम वहाँ पहुँची है बचाव कार्य के लिए, क्योंकि सबसे ज़्यादा देखिए ज़रूरत थी बुजुर्ग महिलाओं की. एक परिवार था, कई सारे लोग हैं जो ऊपर चले गए, ऊपरी मंजिलों पर चले गए, लेकिन जो बच्चे थे, बुजुर्ग महिलाएं थे, उन्हें सुरक्षित जगहों पर जाना था. सबसे ज़्यादा वही ज़रूरत थी. तो ऐसे में देखिए, अब ये पानी दरअसल इतना ज़्यादा है कि यहाँ पर नाव नहीं उतारी जा सकती, क्योंकि ऐसी नाव जो है उनको फटने का डर है. तो अब जो एनडीआरएफ के लोग हैं, हाथ में ट्यूब, लाइफ जैकेट लेकर के कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि सबसे पहले उस परिवार को निकाला जाए. देखिए, यहाँ कई सारे लोग थे, ये इन्होंने ऊपरी जो मंजिल है उस पर शरण ले ली है, ये वहाँ चले गए हैं. लेकिन हम मदद लेकर के आए हैं उन परिवारों के लिए कि उन्हें कम से कम निकाला जा सके, क्योंकि उन्हें बुजुर्ग महिला थी और छोटे बच्चे थे. एक बार वो सड़क तक पहुँच गए इस गहरे पानी में, तो उसके बाद वो सुरक्षित जगहों पर जा सकते हैं, क्योंकि घर में बिजली है नहीं, तो फ़ोन चार्ज कर नहीं सकते, मदद मंगा नहीं सकते. पानी का स्टॉक भी लिमिट सीमित होगा, क्योंकि अगर मोटर नहीं चल रहे हैं तो पानी भी नहीं पहुंच पाएगा घर में. खाने पीने का स्टॉक भी सीमित होगा. आज मदद के लिए आखिरकार हमने लेकर के आए हैं, कम से कम एक वो जो परिवार है जिनको निकाला जा सके, उन्हें मदद मिल सके. में फंसे हैं उन्हीं लोगों की मदद के लिए हम एनडीआरएफ की टीम को यहाँ पर लेकर के आए हैं. आज तक ने अपनी ओर से पहल की कि एनडीआरएफ की टीम को ये जानकारी दी कि यहाँ कुछ महिलाएं हैं, कुछ बच्चे हैं जिन्हें इवैक्यूएट करना है, और उस खबर का संज्ञान लेते हुए एनडीआरएफ के ये तमाम जो देवदूत हैं वो आए हैं. क्योंकि देखिए, हम यहाँ से एक महिला को ही निकाल पाए थे. एक्सपर्टीज एनडीआरएफ की इस तरह की ट्रेनिंग है कि बच्चों को छोटे छोटे निकाला जाए. देखिए, ये बुजुर्ग महिलाएं थी, लाइफ जैकेट इनको लिया गया है, और ये आज तक की पहल के बाद जैसे हमने उन्हें जानकारी पहुँचाई है, उनकी तमाम सारी टीमें पहुँची, क्योंकि इस घर में कई सारी बुजुर्ग महिलाएं थी. ये एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं आज तक पर, एक बड़ा रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन, क्योंकि एक पूरा परिवार था जिसमें बुजुर्ग महिलाएं ज्यादा थी, और चूंकि पानी गहरा भी है और शैलो भी है, 1.5 से 2 फुट पानी में बड़ी नाव नहीं चलाई जा सकती. ऐसे में जरूरत है कि इनको बहुत सावधानी से निकाला जाए, क्योंकि माता जी बहुत ज्यादा परेशान थी. और जब हम यहाँ पर आए थे, इनकी आंखों में एक उम्मीद थी कि कम से कम इनका संदेश पहुंच जाएगा, क्योंकि इनके घर में परिवार के किसी के पास मोबाइल फोन की बैटरी नहीं चल रही थी. और वहां पर पीछे 2-4 लोग हैं मैं पकड़ लेता हूँ अब निकालिए। तो सबसे ज़्यादा मदद की ज़रूरत इन लोगों की। अब देखिए पानी इतना गहरा ना, इतने में मोटर बोट नहीं चलाई जा सकती, तो सबसे ज़रूरी होता है कि लाइफ जैकेट पहना करके देखिए यहाँ पर बच्चों को कंधे पर लेकर के, और ज़रूरत का सामान, हमने को कहा था कि आप ज़रूरत का सामान पैक करके रखें, थोड़ी देर में मदद आएगी। और हमने एक छोटी सी कोशिश की कि एनडीआरएफ के लोगों के ज़रिए जानकारी पहुँच जाए, और एक बार जानकारी हो जाती है तो मदद बहुत आसान हो जाती है, क्योंकि अगर एक बार इनको सुरक्षित इलाकों में निकाल लिया गया तो आप समझिए कि कितनी ज़िंदगियों को बचाया जा सकता है। एक परिवार मुश्किल से कम पूरे परिवार को अब निकाल लिया गया है। और हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि जहाँ जहाँ पर लोग फंसे हैं, किसी भी तरह से वो संदेश देने में कामयाब रहें, किसी तरह कोशिश करें कि संदेश अगर पहुंच जाएगा तो मदद भी उन तक तुरंत पहुंच जाएगी। तो ये साधारण मानव की क्षमता के बिल्कुल विपरीत है, वो भी तब जब तबाही ऐसी हो, सैलाब का मंजर ऐसा हो। इसलिए आज तक के कैमरे पर आप ये लाइव ऑपरेशन देख रहे हैं एनडीआरएफ का, उस इलाके से जहां की खबर आज तक ने दिखाई थी कि लोग वहां, परिवार, उन्हें वहां रेस्क्यू की ज़रूरत है। एक छोटी सी कोशिश हमारी ओर से थी कि यहाँ पर इनको मदद मिल जाए, और वो मदद देखिए, ये एक बहुत सुखद अनुभव होता है किसी रिपोर्टर के लिए, और मैं वो खुशी अपने अंदर महसूस कर सकता हूँ। एक छोटी सी कोशिश, और उस कोशिश के बाद एक पूरे परिवार को मदद मिल जाना, आप समझते हैं ये शायद इससे ज़्यादा पुण्य कमाने जैसी और कोई बात होती नहीं है।
All right, now coming up on the other side, we're taking you through all the defining images right after Cyclone Biparjoy made its landfall. Heavy rains, gusty winds and high tides. Amid all of that, our India Today reporters were braving the eye of the storm, bringing you these factual and accurate ground reports. Visuals coming live from the cyclone's epicenter, where our reporter Ashutosh Mishra was seen helping a girl. We saw how he was taking her all the way through to safety. As Cyclone Biparjoy continues to wreak havoc in Gujarat, several people have been reported to be stranded in flooded areas in Mandi district. A residential complex and hospital have submerged in water. Cyclone Biparjoy has also caused huge damage to public property. Now, causing havoc in Gujarat, Cyclone Biparjoy has entered Nalia, where several trees were uprooted and property damaged amid strong winds. Strong winds have broken electricity poles, uprooted, causing power outages in at least 45 villages. Road clearance work is currently underway in many parts of the coastal districts of Gujarat. Incessant rains that's led to widespread power outages and trees and electricity poles being uprooted. NDRF teams are now conducting road clearance operations. Cyclone Biparjoy now is set to enter Rajasthan. Gusty winds, uprooted poles and trees in the Barmer district. A red alert has been issued as Met Department has predicted that severe rainfall will hit Barmer. All right, now showdown over scrapping on the anti-conversion law in Karnataka that escalates. I'm going to take you through all the updates as protests by the Bajrang Dal and the VHP continues in different parts of Karnataka, accusing the Chief Minister of being pro-Muslim. Sidramullah Khan. Those are the slogans that right-wing groups are raising as they condemn the Congress. Stay with us. A lot more from Karnataka as commotion grows.
गेल जी, आपसे बात करते हुए हम बहुत प्राउड हैं, बहुत गर्व आता है। पहले तो हमारा कंग्रेचुलेशंस कि आपने जो रेस्क्यू किया एवरेस्ट के पीक के सामने, ये बहुत ही बेहतरीन रेस्क्यू था। गेल जी, ये डिटेल में बताइए कि जब आप क्लाइंब कर रहे थे तो आपने क्या देखा और आपने कैसे डिसीजन लिया कि आप ये रेस्क्यू करेंगे।
हिंदी में,
हिंदी या इंग्लिश में बोलिए। जी जी जी
ठीक है। Just when I was like doing the summit with my clients and I was like on the way to balcony, just I met him like he's unconscious because he was like about to die, and so that's why I need to save his life, and that's why just my summit fund just I quit and I set it down, my client down to C4. And just I decided to save his life because save the life is like bigger than the summit. So that's why I decided to save his life.
Gelji, it took you 6 hours, you know, from the time you got that Malaysian climber till you came down about 600 meters. It took you 6 hours. You wrapped him up in a in a heat blanket. How difficult was it to carry him on your back and climb down for 600 meters?
No, it's like at the from balcony. I did not wrap there because when I wrap him, he's from the after the camp 4, after South Pole. Before when I met him, I did not wrap him because I don't have nothing to like for wrap. Balcony is above the 8,000 meter, like 8,400 meters. So that's why we can't find that kind of gear. Just when I met him, I bring down like how's his condition. I bring just like that. He was like about to die, but he was like to temperature support. He oxygen was like he was shaking. So that's why I carry down to him like with the rocky part and no possible to drag him down. So that's why I carry down to him like 3-4 hours and 3-4 hours, like 3 hours something. I drag him to down on the snow on the rods we carry back.
Hello and welcome to this Markets Today special. I have with me today Anand Shah, who heads PMS and AIF at Prudential ICICI or ICICI Prudential Asset Management Company. Anand, very good to see you today. But let me start by asking a very simple question. How difficult has it been for a fund manager like you to beat the market over the last 1 year? I mean, the benchmarks that you follow or adhere to.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I think last 2 years, 2-3 years have been actually easier than what it was before. Prior to around January 2020, we had a very narrow rally in a very specific end of the market only. And a very broader market was underperforming the index. Having said that, last 2.5-3 years have been actually where the profitability across broader market has been much better than the blue chips, and to that extent, stock picking is actually working wonderfully over last 2.5-3 years. So last 2.5-3 years have been pretty much easier, and also it's actually a stock pickers market. So a lot of alpha also is something we could generate in last 2.5-3 years.
So what are the sectors and stocks that have resulted in the alpha that you've been able to generate? I mean, relative to the market, what are the bets which have worked out for you?
Yeah, so I think if I go back a little bit into the history, what was happening was you had, as I was saying, a very narrow segments of the market doing well. And partly that was also to do with that if you were a manufacturing something, if you're a manufacturer of something, you had a very stiff competition from China. China was practically the factory for the rest of the world, and they would produce from safety pin to boilers, from tire to tiles. Whatever you need, they would manufacture it for the rest of the world. So globally, ex-China manufacturing was struggling. But in the same time, if you're a consumer of those manufactured goods, would be a typical consumer or a consumer-facing businesses which were doing very well. What has changed in the last few years, and precisely more forcefully in last 3 years, is China, which was an exporter of deflation, has become an exporter of inflation. And to that extent, a lot of manufacturing and manufacturing allied businesses, which includes corporate banks. So even within banks, if you see, a lot of corporate banks, which were also at the receiving end of stress in manufacturing, stress in infra, leading to a very large NPAs, and so so much so provisionings for the same, have also seen reversal of fortunes. So I think our focus on manufacturing allied corporate banks, these are the areas where the earnings growth has been strong, valuations were very reasonable to start with, have helped us generate a lot of alpha.
All right, now coming up on stories from Karnataka, the anti-conversion law in Karnataka that was introduced by the BJP, the Congress now is decided to scrap it. This is broken into a commotion and a controversy with the VHP and Bajrang Dal, right-wing Hindu group, staging a protest in Chikmagaluru and Hubli respectively. Workers coming out in large numbers on the streets and raising slogans against Siddaramaiah, calling him Siddaramullah Khan. That's the tag they've given him. This comes after Siddaramaiah-led government in Karnataka have decided to completely abolish that anti-conversion law that was introduced during the Basavaraj Bommai reign. In fact, the Congress says that the law itself is unconstitutional because it defeats the purpose of right to religious practice. The BJP has hit out at the Congress government, claiming that it's only fulfilling the PFI's agenda. While the new bill will be introduced by the Sidhu government on the 3rd of July, the anti-conversion law by the then BJP government came into effect in 2022. The act prohibited unlawful conversion to another religion by force or fraudulent means and included imprisonment of up to 5 years while mandating compensation to victims ranging up to 5 lakh rupees. In fact, the protests that continued in different parts like Chikmagaluru, Hubli. Let's cut across to what exactly is the outrage here.
Congress is opening the conversion. So Congress normally they follow Tipu ideologies. Tipu main intention is convert to Muslim. That is the intention. The Congress people when they came, they celebrated Tipu Jayanti. Now they started Tipu visions to Karnataka. So I think they want to make Karnataka one more Pakistan, mini Pakistan.
Congress always use Hindutva, speaks against Hindutva, nor against Hindu leaders, only to get votes of Muslims. This is very unfortunate that Congress always does this by showing RSS, by showing Ekdewar, by showing Savarkar. They want to polarize Muslim votes. Now they want to concentrate on the Muslim vote for the parliamentary election. So they have done it.
हम कांग्रेस सरकार से आग्रह करते हैं फिर से इस कानून को रद्द करने से पहले इसका पुनर्विमर्श करें। राज्य में मतांतर का धर्मांतर का सबसे बड़ा समस्या है। इसके लिए मतांतर निषेध हो, जो अलग अलग पोस्टली कन्वर्शन करते हैं उनको ऊपर कार्रवाई होना चाहिए। उसके प्रत्येक बिल का आवश्यकता है। इसके बारे में पुनर्विमर्श करने के लिए कर्नाटक राज्य सरकार से हम आग्रह करते हैं।
They think it's their private property. They can do what they want. This is a complete abuse of power. Nor they are placed in the public domain, nor they have done consultation. They just misuse the same Congress tricks, appeasement politics. They are back to, they thought it is because of their party recognition they have come to power. It is only because of guarantee.
Constitution and the Supreme Court in multiple judgments has held that fraudulent, forceful conversions is not in the spirit of the Constitution. By repealing this act, the Congress once again has shown that it places its vote bank interests over and above the spirit of the Constitution and the law of the land.
All right, these are protests that have happened in different parts like Chikmagaluru and Hubli, and the accusation against the Congress government is that they're being pro-Muslim, they're trying to appease their PFI vote bank. This is precisely what the right-wing Hindu groups like the VHP and the Bajrang Dal have been accusing the Congress of. In fact, they've called Siddaramaiah Siddaramullah Khan, the tag they've given him. One should remember that this is the same Bajrang Dal that the Congress had dared to ban if they indulged in communal activities or incited any kind of violence there. I'm going to quickly cut across to Nagarjun Dwarkanath, who's been tracking these developments in Karnataka up close. Nagarjun, here we see protests that were anticipated, and that's precisely what's happened. Siddaramaiah government has taken this step of quashing the anti-conversion bill that was introduced by the BJP, calling it unconstitutional. They've got a unanimous cabinet nod on this. Tell us a little more on the kind of backlash that we see, and what's been the response of the Congress to all the right-wing groups?
Well, protests erupted this morning across Karnataka by the right-wing groups Bajrang Dal, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, especially in Hubli and Chikmagalur, where they have strong organizational strength. And the BJP, on the other hand, have said that they are calling a meeting on June 19th to discuss their parameters as to where do they protest and how do they go about it, and the terms and conditions for the protest, and who would be leading the protest is what they'll be discussing. Most likely by 20th or 21st, even the BJP Karyakartas will get onto the streets of Karnataka to protest against this. And what happened yesterday was the cabinet of Karnataka unanimously decided that to repeal the amendment that was brought in from the BJP government on the anti-conversion law. And now in the assembly session from July 3rd to July 14th, that is supposed to be commencing, the government will place the bill and then repeal the law. And from then, whatever the BJP government had done in the amendment will fall flat. And that's why the whole point of contention now, and it's become a big political talking point, flashpoint in Karnataka.
All right, Nagarjun, thank you very much for joining us on that. Of course, what we know here coming in Karnataka, it's not just the anti-conversion bill. There's a lot more when it comes to a controversy that's adding up to this fallout. In fact, cutting across now on the other side, we're taking you through exactly another move that Siddaramaiah government has made that has led to or triggered emotions there. And this is the third cabinet meeting that Siddaramaiah-led government has taken, and this meeting was only to decide on revision of school textbooks, all the way from 6th standard class textbooks to 10th standard. Karnataka schools now are all set to remove, expunge chapters on RSS founder Hedgewar and Savarkar. These were chapters that were included by the BJP government while they were in power. The Congress has now excluded those chapters, added chapters of Nehru and Bhagat Singh. These were chapters that were again removed by the BJP. The BJP now calling the Congress's efforts a mere way to appease their Muslim vote bank ahead of 2024 Lok Sabha battle. Let's have a quick look at this report.
The Siddaramaiah government kickstarts the desaffranization of education. The Congress has ordered changes in syllabus for class 6th to class 10th. These include the removal of chapters on RSS founder Hedgewar and Veer Savarkar. The Education Department will send a supplementary booklet with guidelines to schools on what to teach and what to ignore.
In the interest of children's knowledge and whatever is necessity, we have done the least now. Okay, and that is only in Kannada language from 6th to 10th standard, and social studies from 6th to 10th standard. So that will be, I think by another 1 week or less than 10 days, I think it will reach all the schools.
The supplementary booklet to be followed for this academic year includes changes only in social studies and Kannada subjects, and will reach in all schools within the next 10 days. Lessons on social reformers Savitribai Phule, Letters to My Daughter by Jawaharlal Nehru, and poems on Ambedkar are added to the syllabus. Hedgewar's speech, a chapter on Hindutva ideologue Savarkar, and a chapter on contemporary writer Chakravarti Sulibele stand removed. The State Cabinet has also decided that reading the preamble of the Constitution along with prayer in schools and colleges will be mandatory. The state government will hold separate meetings with experts to decide the education roadmap for next year.
These are all the great people, especially people who try to bring about social change, reform within our unequal society. These are the great reformers who had broad vision, broad outlook, who tried to bring up people who have faced suffering. So that is the only correction that we made.
We have to keep the students' academic interest in mind, and 100% we are
going through all sorts of discussions and getting opinions from various educationists pertaining to this field.
The BJP is fuming. The Saffron camp is calling the revision a bid to consolidate Muslim votes ahead of 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
They want to see that power in the center should be taken by Congress. So they are ready to do they are going to stoop to any level. This is very unfortunate. They have taken education field also.
They think it's their private property. They can do what they want. This is a complete abuse of power. Nor they have placed in the public domain, nor they have done consultation. They just misuse the same Congress tricks, appeasement politics.
The Congress has trashed BJP's charges.
They have to explain to the world why Baswa lesson was withdrawn, why Nehru's letters were withdrawn. When we are telling something, what wrongs we have made, they may raise some questions, but it is wrong on their part. They don't have moral right to ask it.
Former Education Minister Nagesh says that this particular act from Congress to consolidate Muslims' vote ahead of parliament elections, and by removing lessons connected with Hedgewar and trying to bring back Tipu Sultan's lessons clearly shows that this Congress government is anti-Hindu. With video journalist Madhu Sagaraj reporting for India Today, Bengaluru.
All right, where we're seeing Congress government in Karnataka trying to undo things that the BJP has done, that's leading after enough and more controversy. The Congress, they're yet forging ahead as they commit to their people. They say that they're going to fulfill all their promises as expected. I'm going to cut across to a short break. Coming up next is Anand Gopal bringing us a lot more on the Bengal violence as Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister, now admitting to retaliating to violence in Bangal. She trains position, says it is the BJP indulging in pre-poll violence. A lot more on that on the other side. Stay with us.
Stevia, an artificial sweetener, is a plant derivative. Why is it being advised against? Is that the question on top of your mind? Well, that certainly is the question that many experts are asking.
Stevia, being derived from a plant, has generally been considered to be safer than the synthetic sweeteners. In fact, some studies show that stevia can help improve glucose tolerance. There are some studies which have shown that stevia can help lower blood sugar as well as blood pressure. So people who are consuming medications for diabetes or hypertension or are on diuretics must consult a professional or a doctor before consuming stevia, and they must also regularly monitor their levels.
It is to be noted that stevia falls in the category of sweeteners advised against by the World Body. But monk fruit extracts, which hardly is used in India, does not. Some experts say a blanket advisory was the need of the hour. Others do not agree.
Guideline has very clearly defined what is a non-sugar sweetener, and stevia is a part of it. So we cannot single out stevia. So there, as I said earlier, there are many non-sugar sweeteners. We very commonly used are aspartame and saccharin and now stevia, sucralose, all are part of the guideline. The evidence is studied for all of them. So stevia is equally harmful, I would say.
Some experts say some amount of confusion has been created with the new guidelines from the World Health Organization.
Stevia is a natural plant, right? It tastes like sugar but doesn't spike your glucose or insulin. So it's a safer alternative. As I said, it doesn't absorb in the body. It's secreted unchanged in the urine. So stevia doesn't really affect your body except that it gives you that taste of sugar that you need. But if you, if we were to see stevia versus sugar, stevia will always win.
While some concerns around aspartame and other artificial sweeteners are justified, nutritionists worry it might mislead. Minimizing sugar intake and not using added sugars, getting processed foods out of the house and not putting it in your body but into the bin is what is really needed. In New Delhi with Sneha Mordani, Bureau Report, India Today.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 40 and minimum 30 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 33 and minimum 28 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 43 and minimum 30 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 33 and minimum 25 degrees. Chennai, maximum 38 and minimum 29 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 39 and minimum 27 degrees.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
Powered by Voltas Pure Air 6-stage adjustable AC. Ajio Big Bold Sale.
Bombs, bullets fly in Bengal. Another poll season ridden with violence. Two dead. Who is to blame? Mamta washes her hands off. But BJP bans Mamta government.
बंगाल की वह भूमि जहां कभी रविंद्र संगीत सुनाई पड़ता था, आज बम के धमाके सुनाई पड़ते हैं.
Bengal poll showdown. Top focus on 6 p.m. Prime.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshata Nandagopal, and this evening we're getting you all the updates coming in from Bengal. Last few days, non-stop reports coming in of violence. And today you've had the political face-off between the BJP and the TMC peaking over the Panchayat poll violence. We're going to get you all the latest updates, the latest images from Bengal coming your way. Here are the headlines first. Cyclone Biparjoy leaves a trail of destruction across Gujarat. 3 highways shut, over 4,000 villages inundated. 1,000 villages still don't have power. Political war over renaming Nehru Museum. After Nehru Museum changed to the Prime Minister's Museum, Congress launches pettiness and vengeance attack at centre. Showdown over scrapping of anti-conversion law in Karnataka escalates. Bajrang Dal and VHP protest against Siddaramaiah government. Sidra Mullah Khan slogans raised against the Chief Minister. ED summons arrested Tamil Nadu Minister Senthil Balaji's brother in cash for jobs scam. Governor rejects CM's recommendation to reallocate Senthil's portfolios. Union Minister's house vandalized in Imphal. Mob storms into a house in Imphal and set it on fire. On the day of its release, Adipurush is embroiled in controversy. Plea filed in court accusing film of hurting Hindu sentiments.
उनकी जो मानव से भगवान बन गए, जिनका जीवन था मर्यादा.
It's poll season in Bengal. This time it's the Panchayat election, and once again it's the same old story of violence, of clashes and a political war of words. We've been seeing images, shocking ones at that, coming in from South 24 Parganas of the kind of violence that's been unleashed on the streets. But who's to blame for these clashes? The TMC, Mamata Banerjee herself, has spoken on this and in a long speech lashed out to the opposition, saying that they're the ones fueling this kind of violence, blaming the BJP. And obviously the BJP is hit back. Let's first round up for you all the reactions coming in on the story.
Bombs hurled. Stones pelted. Mobs armed with sticks. Bengal is on edge once again, with 2 deaths being reported in the Panchayat poll clashes. South 24 Parganas has been a hub of violence for the last few days, and the showdown between the TMC and political rival ISF has taken a shocking turn.
Bombing had happened, crude bombs were hurled over here. This is what it's being stated by the locals over here, the ISF workers over here. It's the 5th day of nominations, and yesterday there were reports of violence in Bhangor 1 in South 24 Parganas, in Bhangor 2 rather, in South 24 Parganas, and today we are here at Bhangor 1, where there has been numerous instances and reports of violence.
With the nomination dates coming to an end, there's an eerie silence now in Bhangar. But the political war of words rages on. CM Mamata Banerjee has pinned the blame on the ISF, claiming they triggered all the violence in the area.
ভাঙ্গরে ঘটনা তো কিছু গুন্ডা করেছে, আমাদের মারা গেছে আমার 2 জন সহকর্মী। ভাঙ্গরের ঘটনা তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস করেনি, 2টো ঘটনা ঘটেছে, আর তার জন্য কেন্দ্রীয় সরকার